Welcome to simulation exam number 1, and we'll continue reviewing chapters 3 to 4. Number 40. Bill's license expired on September 30th, 2033. On February 14th, 2034, he wants to renew it. Now, here's what we need to remember. On the second renewal, you have up to 2 years after the expiration date to bring your license back. That's what we call a grace period. But during that grace period, you cannot work. Your license is inactive. The good news is, at least you don't lose it yet. So within those 2 years, there are 2 possible scenarios. If it's been less than 1 year since the expiration date, the law says you need to complete 14 hours of continuing education and pay a late renewal fee. That's exactly what this question is describing. Expired on September 30th, 2033, and by February 14th, 2034, it's still under 1 year. But if it had been more than 1 year but less than 2 years, then the requirement would be different. You would need to complete 28 hours of reactivation education plus the late fee. So, in this particular case, since it's less than a year, the correct answer is that he must pay the late fee and complete 14 hours of continuing education. Number 41. If a licensee does not renew their license at the end of the renewal period, notice how in this type of question, they don't tell you whether it's the first renewal, the second, or the third. They just ask generally what happens if a license isn't renewed on time. Let's break down the options. A. It can remain inactive for up to 2 years. Yes, that's correct when we're not talking about the first renewal. This looks like the most reasonable answer. But again, the question doesn't specify which renewal we're dealing with. B. It can remain inactive for up to 10 years. Absolutely not. That's never the case. Easy to eliminate. C. It is automatically suspended. No, the word suspension implies an infraction or misconduct, like you broke a law or regulation. Simply failing to renew on time is not a crime. You may lose the license, but not because of a suspension or punishment. So this one is out. D. It must be renewed as soon as possible. That's just too vague. The law doesn't phrase it that way, so it can't be the right choice. So even though the question doesn't give us full details, the way to solve it is by eliminating the options that clearly don't apply and sticking with the only one that makes sense. In this case, the correct answer is A. It may remain inactive for up to 2 years. Number 42. Carolina's second license renewal period ended on March 31st, 2038. She was unable to renew her license before that date. If more than 6 months have passed since the date she was supposed to renew, what could Carolina do to have her license reactivated? Pay close attention. The question says second renewal period. Now, 6 months means it's still within the first year after expiration. And the rule is, if less than 1 year has passed, the licensee must complete 14 hours of continuing education plus a late fee. If it had been more than 1 year, but less than 2, then the requirement would change to 28 hours of reactivation education plus the late fee. But since here it's only 6 months, the correct answer is D. 14 hours of continuing education plus the late fee. Number 43. What happens to the licenses of sales associates working under a broker whose license has been revoked? The answer is C. Involuntary inactive. Why? Because if you don't have a broker, your license automatically moves into involuntary inactive status until you register with another broker. Number 44. Identify the correct statement about a group license. Let's review the theory of the group license. This is right at the end of Chapter 3. A group license is issued only to sales associates or broker associates who work for a developer owner. This applies when the developer owns multiple properties under different entities, but can prove that all those entities are connected and, in practice, controlled by the same individual. So, whenever you see group license on the exam, immediately think developer owner plus sales associate or broker associate. That's the connection. The correct answer here is C. Number 45. A licensed real estate professional enlists in active duty with the United States Armed Forces. While on active duty, he does not engage in real estate practice in the private sector. How many months does he have to update and renew his license after being discharged from the military? Anytime you see a question about a licensee in the armed forces, the answer is always 24 months or 2 years. This is pure memorization. If it says military service, the rule is 2 years. Number 46. In which area of authority of the Commission, FREC, does the power of the Commission President fall when acting individually? The key word here is President of the Commission. The answer is executive power. Whenever you see Commission President, always connect it with executive authority. Number 47. When investigating an anonymous complaint against a real estate licensee, what power is FREC exercising? Whenever the question is about investigating, the answer is executive power. Why? Because Chapter 3, right at the beginning, explains the powers of the Commission. Under executive power, the legislature has delegated authority to FREC to enforce the license law. So, when the Division of Real Estate investigates a complaint against a licensee, that's FREC using its executive power. And remember, the same is true when the Commission President acts alone. That's also executive authority. Number 48. Before the rules and regulations enacted by FREC become effective, they must be filed with whom? This one is pure memorization. There's nothing to reason out. The correct answer is B, the Secretary of State. Number 49. A real estate licensee changes their residential address. How many days do they have, according to the Florida Real Estate Commission rules, to notify about their change of address? Now, notice that the question doesn't specify whether the move is inside the state or out of state. So here's what you need to memorize. If the move is within Florida, the rule is 10 days. If the move is out of state, the rule is 60 days. Since this question doesn't give us enough detail, and none of the options mention 60, the correct answer must be 10 days. That's the only way to solve this kind of question when you're given very limited information.